Hello everyone, almost Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Dak, Shabbat Shalom, a bunch of ducks here, geese, real duck, fake swans. It's really nice, Lake Balboa, in the middle of the valley. Just been here once before, twice before, done some videos, and it's just can't get enough of this place. Yeah, nice, sunny. Let's wait here a little bit. Let's put it here. Oh, there is this thing in the middle. All right. People are walking by, dogs are strolling along the people. Well, hello to you all, whoever is here. Almost Shabbat Shalom. I am in Lake Balboa. Another round here. It's really nice and peaceful. Kind of nice to have that peacefulness back after trip from Israel, coming back this week. It's been just been an exciting experience and much learning. I want to show you first. I want to pimp that shirt I'm wearing. So this shirt that I'm wearing is from the Freedom Farm in Israel. I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, Freedom Farm. And let me turn around. I'll show you what's written here. I don't know if you can see that, but love, compassion, kindness, and harmony. So the Freedom Farm in Israel is a farm that was created by Adit Romano and some other wonderful ladies primarily, and that they save animals from the meat industry and the egg industry before they're being slaughtered or before they're just disposed of because they don't have anything to do with them. They can't, I've learned when I've seen all the chickens there and the roosters. And so usually the roosters, the male chickens, roosters, but when they're born, they don't keep them because they cannot give eggs. And so they throw them as they're babies, they throw them right into... Yes. So this farm in Israel, in somewhere in the north part of Israel, is a farm, is a sanctuary, is really a sanctuary for all these animals, and goats and cows and bulls and goats. I said yes, goats. I said I'll put some pictures and videos later on to show my visit there, and chickens. And you go into this place, into this farm, into this oasis for animals that have been rescued, and you see these animals are roaming free. It's clean, it doesn't stink because people are there to keep everything sanitized and clean. And you don't hear the chickens, how do you call their noise, the noise the chicken make? They don't chick around. Yeah, the chickens don't chick around because they're happy. They're just the part of this harmony. And the concept of the farm is love, compassion, kindness that eventually leads to harmony. And this is what we strive for. This is what I whenever it's appropriate, which is always, talk about this to see how we can always advance ourselves into being in a place of compassion, being in a place of kindness, love, and ultimately what we want to get to is harmony. It's not necessarily balance. Many believe that we have to be in balance. And when you say balance, people think automatically 50-50. By the way, let me know about the audio, if there is a lot of wind or not, or do I need to shield anything. And so this place of being in harmony starts first with drinking water and the kindness and compassion that we have to others, to other people, and especially to the animals, to those who don't have the language and consciousness that we do, to be kind to them. First of all, they were here first, and how we treat our animals is really an indication of how we treat one another. So anyway, so this farm, I was there last week, and ourselves, yes, for sure, for sure, for sure. It's all a reflection. It's all how we treat others and how we treat ourselves. And it's interesting that we treat others differently than we treat ourselves. Usually we're more kind to others than ourselves, and that's kind of the irony of things. And so many times through the relationship with others, we train ourselves on how to be with ourselves. And that goes back vice versa. How we treat ourselves goes to how we treat others. So this farm, this sanctuary, is accepting and taking in animals. For example, there was a bull that broke the last third of his foot because it was stuck in between rocks when the bull was in the field, and so they built him a prosthetic leg for the bull. And it's just fascinating. I just wanted to pack my stuff and move in there. It was really nice. There were 3 turkeys there. It was sweltering hot, and there were 3 turkeys. And turkeys don't do very well, actually, at all. They don't do well in heat, and so they were in a little what we would build for our kids, like a dollhouse or tree houses. There are a bunch of houses that are built there, and they had an AC, and the turkeys were in the AC, enjoying the AC while outside it was sweltering hot. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing to be there. It's a blessing to see that this exists. There was one in California here I've been to, but the one in Israel was really something we do. I also did a program with Adit and that farm. So I want to talk to. So today, the portion of today is Parashat Balak. Right now, so so many stories. So what is happening is in the story, on the story level, is that the Israelites are marching through lands, and they're conquering, and they are expanding, and Israel becomes a very strong presence in all areas. And Moab and Midian were rivals all the time. There were 2 peoples, right? Moab and Midian. There were 2 people, and they were not in good relations. But because they were threatened by the Israelites approaching, so say, okay, well, let's come together because common enemy. Let's unite. So they united together. Moab also, the people of Moab and Balak knew that Midian, Jethro was big part of the people, right? Because of Moses. And so he said, okay, well, Jethro and that the people, how to deal with the Israelites, because obviously force doesn't work with them. So how can somebody defeat them? And so the Midianites told Balak, listen, they have Moses. Moses, his power is in speech. He's in speech and in how the word creates and destroys and creates. And so they say, okay, well, we have to fight the Israelites on the same turf, on their with their tools. So Bilam was a magician in the sense of he would use the words and the power of words to cast spells and to create things by words. Now, so they went to. So the first thing they sent, Balak sends Bilam a couple of messengers, and Bilam says, "You know what? When they come to him, he said, I have to ask what God says, because it doesn't matter if he was against Israel or not against Israel. He had the power of vision, the power of seeing things beyond. Nevertheless, doesn't matter what side he was. He said, only what God will tell me to say, I can say. He doesn't have power over what God has to say. He doesn't have power over the creation, over that, over Israel, because Israel, he knew Israel was blessed. Israel had a certain blessing and protection. So there's a lot of activity going on here. But that's what's fun. It's nice. You got people, you got ducks. So Bilam goes and tells them, spend the night, and I'm going to ask, and I'm going to come back and tell you what's going on. And goes in, and God tells him, do not go with them. Do not go with them. So he comes out and he tells them, God say, I cannot go with you. Now, the way that it's written, God said, do not go with them. Now, there are two words in Hebrew that we can describe that mean two different things in their essence. One can say, Al telech itam, or Al telech imahem. Don't go with them, or don't go with them. So just like I wrote the title of today, okay, be a part of, not a part of. So when going itam is meaning go with them, but as your own separate entity. As your own, you have your own presence. You are walking. You're not together with them. You're not consumed by what they want to achieve. You're not. You don't see eye to eye with them, but you're going with them, itam, out of respect and to be respectful. So that's itam. Go with them, but be on your own, rather than go imahem, meaning imahem is being a part of. Don't be a part of, but be a part of. So don't go and be with them and be enthusiastic and everything, and just be yourself. Okay, but he said to him the first time, do not go. So they went back and they said to Balak, he thinks he's better than us. He's not coming with us. Now that already was a part of the egoic side of Bilam, because after all, he was kind of the sitra achar magician, the other side, the negative inclination side, the non-pure intention prophet or magician. Right? So he had his own ego, because humans, and on that side, goes together with the territory. So he told them, you know what, I'm not going to be a part of you, because God told me not to go with you, because I'm not going to be a part of you. I'm not the same like you. I'm not on the same level, right? So then Balak sends a higher ranking people and officers and officers higher ranking, and then again Bilam goes in and asks God. That's when God tells him, okay, you know what? Go with them, but don't go with them. So what does Bilam does? He goes being a part of. He's going with the same intention. He's going with the same. That I'm going. Now this is bringing a point about how we are when we make choices. Many times, we want a lot of things, or we want to achieve something, or we want to be in a certain place, or we want to do a certain thing. We want that, but we see that there are, let's say, obstacles, or there are signs. You know how we get signs? We get signs in this physical realm. We get spiritual signs in this physical realm based on where we are, and physical signs that we can understand. So many times we want to do something, or we are about to do something, or we need to move. I remember when I was in Boston before I moved to LA, I had many signs of, okay, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. And I didn't pay attention to the signs, you know. And the signs came in different shapes and forms. It came in the loss of housing, loss of clients. This kind of things changed. Other things changed, and let's see this. Okay, so we get signs, and we don't pay attention to them many times because we are in a certain convenient place, and we're in a certain place that we got accustomed to and we got used to, and it's kind of convenient and nice, but we don't see that what we want is really not for us. Sometimes what we want is not what is good for us. So, but what does God say, or what does the universe say? It's not about the good or bad. It's not that the universe doesn't understand good or bad. The universe understands causalities, right? Cause and effect. We do this, this will happen. We do this, this will happen. So we want certain things sometimes, but we don't pay attention to the signs all around us. And we see how it's difficult, and we see how it becomes difficult, and the bottleneck gets narrower and narrower. And we're still, you know, oh, well. So eventually God says, you know what? This is not good for you, but you want it, go ahead. Go ahead, your loss. Why? Because I'm showing you what's good for you. I'm showing you what needs to be done. I'm showing you what you need to do. If you don't want it, go ahead. Luckily, the story from Boston is that eventually one thing led to the other, and I put everything in the car and drove here, and that was the right thing for me to do. Could I have done it sooner or earlier? Maybe, but me personally, I needed the time to understand through my own experiences and through my own lessons when to move and to move on. And this is what we need sometimes. We need sometimes to go through these narrow bottleneck so we can understand through our own experiences, what needs to be done and what we need to do. And time is not important here as much as understanding. So it's not about how fast one understands something or how fast one accepts something. Is the fact that you accept it. There is a sentence in Hebrew says, "Tzaddik sheva pe'amim yipol veyakum," meaning that somebody who is on the path, on the way, a righteous person, also if he falls 7 times, he is still righteous. Why? Not because he fell, but because he got up. And so this is the thing. This is one of the things to remember. And I say this to myself just as I speak here on the videos. It is not about when we fall, or it is not about when we are when we're not paying attention to something. It's when we see what is happening and learn from that and bring it out and make it healthy for us, for me, right? For you. And so sometimes God says, okay, you want this? Go, but remember that there are consequences. So what happened with Bilam? Now, Bilam, there was a situation with Bilam. Bilam, before he became the Sitra Achra, before he was part of the, let's say, the dark force, yeah, on the other side, he was with good intentions. At that time, he calls himself, I'm the guy that with the closed eye, because he had one eye that he couldn't see. He had one eye that was blind. One eye that was blind, and the other eye was fine. The other eye would serve all the negativity that he would do, or all that he saw. I mean, he went so low that he would have uh, sex with his donkey. Man. Hello. All right. So there we go. Now it is okay. So the blind eye. The reason he said he is identified in the Torah, the guy with the blind eye. I mean, so what? So if he had less one finger, says I'm the guy with one finger less. No, is this eye is through that eye, the blind eye that was blinded before he turned to the other side. So that eye stayed with its own purity and receiving pure messages. This is where he would see. This is how he would see things and would get things through that eye. Shtum ein. It's like closed eye. And so he would get things through there. Now he said to Balak when the second time he got there, Balak told him, listen, I want you to curse Israel. I want you to curse Israel so they will be defeated, and I needed to do that. And Bilam said, listen, I will do what I'm doing, but I will not do anything that God doesn't tell me to do, or if he forbids me of doing anything. And so what happens? He starts prophesying with the intention of kalem. Now, I'll explain. In Hebrew, there are words that are combination of two words. For example, kalem, lechalot otam. Lechalot meaning wipe, to wipe them out. Lechalot otam means kalem. Another word is to eat them, leochlam, right? There are words that are a combination of two words that mean actually one. So kalem is lechalot otam. He had the intention, and this is where he went the second time, where God told him, go be a part of, don't be a part of. He went as a part of. He went together. He had this intention, I'm going to curse Israel and it'll be fine, because he really wanted to go, because he was on the other side, but he was waiting for God's approval. And God says, listen, I don't approve, but go and you just say what I'm telling you to say. And when he went there and he reached Balak, he told him, I'm going to say only what God tells me to say. But he had this intention, so instead of prophesying a curse, he only had blessing, 3 times blessing, which makes them a king, melech. He was talking about them as a melech, which is the reverse letters of kalem. Kalem, melech. It's the same letters, just in reversed order, and we'll talk about it in a second. So Balak was upset. He was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I asked you to curse them, not to bless them. He said, I told you I will do only what God told me to do. So I'm blessing them. Now, what's the importance of this kalem and melech? I've talked about it a few times, and I'll talk about it again today because it's in this context. The choices that we make, the places that we are, the free choices that we make, right? The free choices is how we are handling a situation that is here. What choice do I make? Am I going to listen to the signs that I have and move, or am I just going to ignore it and say, no, I like that, I want to stay here? Which eventually God can say, okay, you know what, you want this is not for you, but you want this, okay, so go that. So I talk about melech, the concept of melech. And as we know, the soul has 5 levels. There is the nefesh, the ruach. The nefesh is the animalistic soul, the animalistic instincts, which Freud also called it that everything that is the animalistic is all in the liver, and this is where our desires, where our wants, all the physical things and desires and wants exist in the liver. They concentrate in the liver. And by the way, we was talking about them later that Freud actually took it from Judaism, that he studied a lot, but never mind. So then there is the ruach, the spirit in the heart, right? And then there is the neshama, which is in our moach, in our brain. It is the pineal gland, the third eye. That is what the neshama. And then we have two higher levels, chaya and yechida. But the main ones that are here are nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Okay? Now, for the most part, we are driven by our emotions. For the most part, we're driven by our emotions, and we make our choices many times by that. But just like when we're going to court, when we have, if some of you or any of you have been to a court for any proceedings or any kind of thing, especially if it's family care, family law, or whatever, family law. The reason I do that is because in the court system, it's really about keeping you in the system. But that's for a different topic. Hello. So there are no emotions. If you're in court, if you're going to a court proceeding, you will see that emotions don't play part there. Actually, emotions can actually cause more damage to your case because you're emotional. And when you're emotional, you don't think straight. Think about when somebody gets upset. When you get upset, it says that our sages say that anger, ta'ava, kavod, and kina, meaning desire, jealousy, and the search for respect, physical, egoic respect, puts the person outside of this world. Same like anger. When we are angry and when we are going into these places, we are like in a different world, in a different dimension of ourselves. Our blood rushes irregularly, and we are like when people say hot-headed, we're hot-headed. We're like we don't pay attention. We don't see anything, or we don't see anybody. We're just concentrated about what the emotions were triggered by. We're driven by what we're triggered by, and we're not thinking, and we're not doing what we know is right, what we know is good, just like what we know what is good for us, and versus sometimes what we want. And so many times we're being triggered by our emotions. That's the natural response. Very, very, seldomly or after practice, we can take our mind, our neshama, our head, that is our computer, this is the mainframe that sees what is good for which part of the body. By the way, this is also how sound works. Sound, because we're made of frequencies. Everything is a frequency. So I called working with sound brain hacking, because we're actually taking frequencies and causing the brain and bringing the brain to a certain situation, bringing the brain to a certain vibration, right? So, so when we are in an emotional state, we don't think clearly. We're at that particular moment, we don't think clearly. That's why many times afterwards we're apologetic and we say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, and so forth. Because this is a different world, it's a different dimension, almost. Not almost, it's a different dimension. So when we operate from our hearts, or when we operate from our desires only, then we're not really in a straight we're not really in concert with what is good for us, or with what is logically and understandably good for us. So the concept of melech, which I talked about several times, the concept of melech says that it's the head, the mem, the moach, that oversees the feelings, the heart, the spirit, that oversees the desires and the wants. Now, when Bilam went to curse Israel, he came with the intention of kalem, meaning he started from the desires to the heart, and only at the end, the mind. And if somebody is really operating all the time like that, from the desires and then the heart, and then the mind, then kalem, meaning is finished, is killing himself, herself, because we're operating upside down and operating more like an animalistic instinct rather than humanistic instinct. What is good for us or what is the best for my situation? Right? So, his intention when he went there was kalem. I want to bring them to a place where they will operate instinctively, animalistically, or with their heart and with their desires, and only at the end give them the brain. And but what happened is was turned around. So then Bilam told Balak after the blessing, he said, "Listen, if you want to get to them, make them mingle with the Midianites, okay, and then they will fall." And that's really what happens later. And they had plagues and so forth. But here is the whole thing about this, and this is why I was telling about this: is הדרך שאדם, what I said, בדרך שאדם רוצה ללך, כך יוליכוהו. Meaning, the way that a person wants to be walked in, the way that a person wants to walk in, that's how he will be walked. Meaning, we have signs. We have many signs that come along and give us a signs to do here, or to be there, or to listen. Or we get signs, a dog bark. We're talking about something and suddenly a phone rings. You think about somebody and suddenly a phone rings from that person. Or we're saying something and there is a sign that confirms what we're saying. But if we want to stick to a certain way, and God says, listen, this is not for you, I'm giving you all the signs here. This is not for you. But you want it, okay, go ahead. Be there. I've been there. I'm positive that you can identify with receiving such information, and how do you deal with this? And so this is part of the thing. The person, the way that somebody wants to walk in, that's what the person gets. And this is what happened with Bilam. He said, no, I really want to go with them. I really want to go with them. God said, don't go with them. He said, no, I really want to go with them. So, okay, go. But remember this, what will happen. And that will happen. And then the king was upset with Bilam that he didn't curse them, uh, and he didn't give him what he wanted. So this is kind of like, how do we pay attention to these things? How do we pay attention to signs? How do we if we start to do something and suddenly we see that, oh, am I in the right direction, or am I in the right inclination? I'm getting this kind of signs, how to deal with this? Well, first of all, is to see, is this serving your ultimate goal? And how do we get to the ultimate goal? How do we get to decipher about our ultimate goal, or our perceived ultimate goal, at least in this particular period of time? Melech, see. Instead of going from desires, feelings, head, we'll go head, heart, desires. Now, it is not easy. It's something that some of you are experiencing, and I'm experiencing, and it is something that is a constant pull and push, because we're never in one state. We're never only in one place. We're all the time a pull and push. This is our human condition. We're all the time pull and push. We are striving to get to this unified place, but really it's a pull and push. So we may be in a good track, and something distracted us, because we're human. Something distracted us, and then we're in that place. And when we're in that place, we recognize where we are and where we were, and we make a choice. Do I want to go back to where I was, or do I want to ascend from where I was, or do I want to stay here where I want my desires and my feelings and all these kind of things to handle everything? And so this is something that is happening every day. This is something that is not necessarily part only of this portion or this week, but it plays out beautifully, because this is how it is every week with the portion. Every week with the portion, it fits exactly agenda to the intention of this talk, of this sharing with you. And now let's take it to a social thing, connection with people. You may have been in a certain period of time in your life that now you realize this is not what I want. I don't want to be, there's certain people that you've been a part of. You've been a part of this group, a part of certain group of people. And this didn't do good for you because you were in a place where you were challenged, you were ridiculed, you were bullied, talking from personal experience. And I'm positive that some of you can identify with that. You've been in a place where it was not good for you. There were people that were not good for you. And now what happens? In a sense, they were good for you, right? Because you've been in this place to be triggered specifically by these people, because those are people that were invited by my own or your own energy, your own vibration. So you invite these people. And the people that we most have difficulties or challenges from are those who we learn the best. Those are our best teachers. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that you have to continue and be with certain people. They were part of your life. We enter a story and we exit the story. Two circles. We enter and we exit the story. Right? And so you're on a new path, you're on a new way. And people from that past time are reaching out again. And now the question is, how do you handle that? What is the context of why they reach out? And it happens in many things that we start, new things, that suddenly we have obstacles that are coming along and are trying to challenge our place of being and how we are. And it comes in the form of people, it comes in the form of situations. It doesn't mean that that one has to be rude to somebody, but it also doesn't mean that a connection can be established again. Somebody said to me, well, people change. I said, well, yes, I think people more redefine or refine, or being more refined change, because the core is always there. And so when I expressed what I expressed to that person, to the people that reached out from a certain period of my life, I was answered with the same answer that I ran away from all these years from that group of people, with the judgment and ridiculing. And so I knew it was an indication for me that my choice of saying, look, thank you, but no thanks. I understand, respect, all great. We don't have to continue connection. Our story started and ended where it was and where it did and when it did. And it's okay. And the person got offended, but that person got offended because they were in the same constellation of where they were all this time. Could be other things, but this what came up. So we may start a new thing, and we will see that there are people that are coming in, or certain situations that are coming to give us challenges, or to check: are we still in that place? Are we still going to that place where we knew that these energies are ridiculing, these energies are belittling, or all the bullying? We've been talking about bullying a lot. We have a choice. We don't have to re-engage in that. And the indication for that is, how do we feel about that? How do you feel about that place? Bullying, for example. There was a situation where it came up again, this whole bullying situation with certain people. And many times when we're not in a place of healing, when we're not in a healed place, we react back to what this bully said or did, and we're bringing ourselves back into this game, and defensive and answering. And what I realized that was happening with me and for me is that I made a choice. No, I don't need to engage in that. This is not me. I recognize now that it is their story. I don't need to re-engage in that. So I'm not a part of anymore, but I'm a part of. Doesn't mean that I cannot be nice or should be courteous and all this kind of thing. But a connection in the same capacity or a similar capacity or maybe any capacity doesn't have to exist. And if the other person is accepting, then they wouldn't bully back and ridicule. But in my case, what happened when the person saw that I'm not really interested. Oh, you are like this. Oh, go learn more. Oh, you're not evolved. All these kind of things. Those are sentences from people or from certain groups that will seek to bring you, to suck you in, to bring you a part of, to make you a part of them, although you chose to continue and to move forward. So this is a great thing, you know. Yeah, this is really kind of sums up what I wanted to share with you. When do we be a part of, and when do we be a part of? When is it? It can come in many shapes and forms. So I would like to be a part of those duckies, to be in the water, and to swim. But I'm a part of, and I'm staying here and give them. I can feed them, but enjoy them and send them love, and just like I send to you. And thank you very much for being here. And let's look a little bit more here before I'll goodbye you or see you later. So have a wonderful Shabbat, and there you go. Bye bye. Shabbat shalom.